Welcome to our weekly program, the inside story of Chabad in America through the Mendel archives. We are now in the middle of the 3 weeks, and the 3 weeks begins Shivasa B'Tammuz and it ends on Tisha B'Av. And these 2 months, Tammuz and Av, as we spoke, are called Chodesh Avelis, months of mourning. Shivasa B'Tammuz, the months of the Churban Beis HaMikdash. Now, by the way, I want to say that an oval, the Rebbe once mentioned to a novel, sitting Shiva, that don't be mahadir, don't be so strict about an avelis. I mean, there's halachas, you have to keep halachas, but don't be so strict. Because when you are mahadir, strict in this world, they're going to be mahadir with that neshama in the other world, in avelis. So don't be mahadir, even though we have to avelis, but not to be mahadir. And that's why we see like Chassidim, Shabbos Chazon, some people put on clothes that are old clothes, and we are not, Chassidim are not mahadir in that. But anyway, that's a side thing. So we mourn these 2 months for the 2 Beis HaMikdash. So the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of Gilu Arayis, immorality, Avodah Zarah, idol worship, and Shvichas Domim, murder. This is the Avedas that they did, and the Beis HaMikdash was chorev because of that. So Eden did tshuva, they repented. So the Eibishter built the second Beis HaMikdash. And as the Rambam says, Yisrael oisin tshuva miyad hein nigolin. If people do tshuva, they're redeemed right away. Then, when the second Beis HaMikdash was built, there was a problem with sinas chinam. People were not united. There was machloikes, sinas chinam, for nothing. So the second Beis HaMikdash was destroyed until today. And as the Rebbe brings down the Chazal, and the Rebbe says many times, I think, Kol Zman she'eina nivna biyomov, Kilu nechrav b'yomov. As the Beis HaMikdash is not built in our days, so it's like the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed in our days. Like now it's destroyed. And the reason the second Beis HaMikdash was because of Sinas Chinam. Now, by the way, there was no Achdus B'chal. Jews to be together, Achdus is very hard. It's not easy. We say Shalom Aleichem. So the other person answers, Aleichem Shalom. He has to say the opposite. First we say Shalom, so why doesn't the other person also say Shalom Aleichem? Because he's a Jew, he has to say the opposite. He has to say first Aleichem. That's how Jews are. It's very strange. But Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Shalom. But anyway, that's a side thing. So the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed because of Sinas Chinam. And when Mashiach will come, it says in Sfarim, that Tisha B'Av will be called a Yontif, Shivasa B'Tammuz will be called the first day Yontif, Tisha B'Av will be called the second day Yontif, and in the middle is like Chol HaMoed. But now we're still in Golus. And if we're in Golus, the Eibishter is in Golus. The Eibishter is also in exile. As we once mentioned about the Beis HaMikdash. And so if we do tshuva, miyad hein nigolim. So somebody asked the Rebbe, I mean not somebody, people asked, in these English letters, what tshuva should we do? We want Mashiach. What tshuva should we do? What kind of tshuva? And besides, they said to the Rebbe, And the letter here. If do as Hashem b'simcha, we always have to be b'simcha. So we have to do tshuva on Gilu Arayis, Shvichas Domim, Avodah Zarah. And it says that Golus Bola Olam al Avodah Zarah, al Gilu Arayis, al Shvichas Domim. That's why we're in Golus. So where is there Avodah Zarah today? And where is the Shvichas Domim today? And what is the Gilu Arayis today? So it says in a different places, it's very interesting, I want to mention it. Number one, let's say Avodah Zarah, idol worship. What is the idol worship today? Power, honor, ego, gaive. The Eibishter says, Ein ani v'hu yichaylim lader. I can't live with a bal gaive. Money is the Avodah Zarah today. Years ago, Avodah Zarah was to bow down to getchkes, to idols. We don't have this today. This is an Avodah Zarah. Now, I want to mention a word speaking about money. Money is called, in Yiddish, money means geld. So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, I think it was the Frierdiker Rebbe, geld, the numerical equivalent, the gematria of geld, Gimel Ayin Lamed Tes, is 112. Geld is blotte. Blotte means waste, mud. Blotte, Beis Lamed Aleph Tes Ayin, is also Begimatri 112. Geld is blotte. Geld is garnish. Geld is waste. What does it mean, geld is waste? Geld is important. Geld is gives dokya. And Rebbe was Machabed Hashem. So why is geld blotte? So the Frierdiker Rebbe said, when is geld blotte? When you keep waste, we take, let's say, blotte, manure, and you keep it in one, you gather in one place, it's blotte, it starts smelling, it's not good. But when you take blotte and you use it to spread out and makes this rich soil, it grows. Blotte, manure, you spread it out all over, then it's good, then it starts growing. So geld is blotte only when you have it together. But when you spread out the geld, then it's good. Then it's good to have money because you help other people. Otherwise, geld is blotte. And if you don't do it, this is called your idol. This is part of idol worship. Another thing, which the Rebbe did not mention, because there was no internet in those days, I guess. But I can tell you, I saw in other places, the internet became such a taiva and avodah zarah mamish. The websites, young bachrim, young people even, walk around with telephones. And they have the telephone when they go to sleep, they have this telephone. And they can push a button and they can see all kind of schmutz in the world. This is the taiva today. This is the avodah zarah. Right after Shabbos. Some people, the first thing, they pick up the internet, pick up the telephone. When they go to shul, they have the telephone with them. And excuse me, when they're in the Beis HaKis, in the bathroom, they also have a telephone. In the middle of learning. In the middle of a simcha. They text each other. This is the avodah zarah today. Years ago, I remember when I was a bacher, the Rebbe spoke against television, TV, very much. So television, it doesn't come to the internet, what we see today, much worse. So Madach television, so for sure the internet. With one button. This is the taiva that people have. Now, Baruch Hashem, we have great speakers, we have great lecturers. They speak about the philosophy, Chassidus, his kashrus, excellent. I think this thing has to be said because, unfortunately, a lot of people from good families are losing children because of that. And there's something that has to be spoken at. So I can just say that this is part of the Avodah Zarah today. Sometimes a person, you have to speak the mile of Yidden, but you have to also say, the Siba, the Chisorn, what happened. You also have to say, look in Tanya. It says in Tanya is Chassidus, and nevertheless, you know how much Musar is in Tanya. Sometimes you have to say this. So this is the Avodah Zarah. This is today's, that we have to do tshuva. Number 2, Gilu Arayas. Immorality. Sexual behavior. Now, we know that there are 6 mitzvahs that every person is mechuyev to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Young, old, children, adults. One of them is V'loi sosuru acharei levavchem v'acharei nechem. Not to look when you're not allowed to. This is something that the Torah says, and you're over Aveda. You're not supposed to. This is one of the things that you're not allowed to do. Also, harchoke, when she becomes a nida, taras hamishpacha, husband and wife cannot hand over things. That's very important. Very important. It's one of the things, and it says in others for him, one of the things that ring goes is because people are not careful in that. And besides, I remember years ago I heard from Mashpim, a chosid goes to the mikveh. I mean, a woman going to the mikveh, this is a halacha. But a chosid goes to the mikveh every single day. Nowadays, many people don't go to the mikveh. Now, this reminds me of mikveh. I heard in the name of Reb Mendel Futafas. Everybody heard of Mendel Futafas. He had a chaver in Russia. He was the Rimitzer Rebbe. I remember him. He went into the Rebbe once. He came to America. He davened late, the whole thing about it. But he was a chaver, and Reb Mendel Futafas said that as a geheben erid, even a Baal Ruach HaKodesh, I guess. The Rimitzer used to go to the mikveh every single day. Not only every day, but maybe a few times a day. We're not in that level, of course. So he said that in Russia, there was once 20 below 0 degrees. He went to the river, got the ice, and went to the mikveh. Reb Mendel was there. And he went into the water, 20 degrees below 0. 310 times he was teufel. Then he says to Reb Mendel, come. He says, I can't. He says, the Baal Shem Tov said that a mikveh won't hurt, you won't get sick. So he went in once, he couldn't do it again. Teufeled once, he had to get dressed, he couldn't do it again. So this Rimitzer, Reb Mendel says, got dressed. After teufeling 310 times, then he went up the hill, and by mistake, Reb Mendel says, he saw us a shiksa, by mistake. So he went back again to teufel another 310 times. Okay, we're not talking about those kind of yidden. It's interesting to know. We're not talking about this. These are great people. But at least be careful to go to the mikveh, and especially, for sure, Erev Shabbos, for sure. Even though it's not halacha. So that's number 2. Number 3, one of the things is shvichas domim. Murder. Nobody murders anybody. Nowadays, shvichas domim is embarrassing people. Kol ha'mavayish es chaverei barabim, or bechlal embarrassed. How to talk to people, not to embarrass people. And on those 3 things, we have to do tshuva. These are the things for today. But the second Beis Hamikdash, was destroyed not because of Gilu Arayis, Avodah Zarah, Shvichas Damim, because of Sinas Chinam. And maybe Sinas Chinam is worse than all. Because when a person does Avodah Zarah, he knows he did something wrong. He knows he has to do tshuva. Or Gil Arayis, Shvichas Damim. He embarrassed somebody. He killed somebody. Sinas Chinam, hate, has to do with the heart. That's something that is very hard to do tshuva. That's why we're in Golus so long. Because it's harder to do tshuva. And Bichlal, what does it mean? Chinam. How can you hate somebody for nothing? Well, what does that mean? The Rabbi speaks about it. Rabbi once mentioned. Rabbi mentioned the word Rav. When a Rav is a Rav and he sees another Rav. So he has some jealousy. He did nothing wrong. But there is a certain sino or a chazan. He has another chazan or a speaker. Somebody, he speaks, then another person is a speaker. Oh, maybe he did better than him. There's a certain sino. But anyways, that's much harder to get rid of. That's why we're in Golus for so long. And this is what Yaakov Avinu, before he passed away, he called over his children. And he says, Hasifu, come together. I want to tell you when the Geula will be, when Mashiach will come. He wanted to tell them, and he knew. Why did he want to tell them? Because he saw there is no hate, there is no ches and tes. Hate means a sin. There's no hate in the letters of all the Shvatim. By the 12 tribes, there is no ches and tes. The Baal, you're all tzaddikim, so you bezeiche that I want to tell you when Mashiach will come. But then right away, he thought and he saw that there is no kuf and tzaddik. There is no kates, there's no end. In other words, there is no achdus. Why isn't there end? Because there was no unity by the Shvatim. The whole Maaseh with Yosef. So that took away his Ruach HaKodesh. So we see that people are united. The opposite of Sinas Chinam. This will bring the Geula Shlema. And this is something that everybody has to work on it. And therefore, as we read last week in the Haftarah, this is the 3 weeks. As we read last week, I read Haftarah, that the Novi says, God showed me a vision, and God said, what do you see? So the Novi said, I see a stick cut from an almond tree. And the Eibishter said to me, you have seen well. Just as an almond tree is quick to blossom, I am hastening my word in order to accomplish. And just as it takes 21 days for the almond tree to ripen the fruits after it blossoms, so 21 days will pass from the day the enemy breaks through Yerushalayim's walls until the Beis Hamikdash will be burned. So that's why we don't use 21 days. Because 21 days is negative. We use 3 weeks, not 21 days. Because the truth of the matter is, even though the Beis Hamikdash is destroyed because of punishments, but it's not punishment. As I don't think we'll have time this week to explain. I think I'm going to have next week to explain why Golus is not only because of punishment, as because in order to get to the Geula, we have to go through Golus. And that's why we say 3 weeks. Because 3 shows on the Beis Hamikdash, the third Beis Hamikdash. 3 are Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. The Torah was given on the 3rd month. Chasidus was given in Yotes Kislev, the 3rd month. Eraisa, Yisrael, Veraisa, V'kutsha Brichu is also 3. So we don't use 21 days, but we use 3 weeks to show the positive that the 3 weeks is not only to see the negative, the Averis, but there is a positive here. And that's something that I will, in Mitzvah Hashem, continue next week. And Shubei Yehofech Yomim Elu, L'Sosin L'Simcha, and Yisrael Oisin Tshuva, Miyad Hein Nigolin. In Mitzvah Hashem, next week we'll continue our weekly program. Thank you.